Well, it looks like everybody who's in the waiting room has had a chance to join us now. And my name is Dean Kato, and along with Mike and Cheryl, I want to thank you for investing part of your time this evening on Friday to join us and to join Reiner Marks as well on a presentation on how to cruise well, and in this case, to focus on the offerings of Viking, one of our favorite cruise lines. So just a bit about World Travel Agency and who we are and what we do and why. Cruises are a big part of our emphasis, and the different people that we work to support you if you're a solo traveler. Quite a few of our people do look for solo travel opportunities. We work with families and multi-gen. I recently booked a family in a large cabin on Disney. We work with affinity groups. So if you have a wine group or a bicycling group, recently booked a river with a focus on bicycling and a group there. And we often work with pods or friends or groups. So I'll hand off to Cheryl and speak a little bit about the why of WTA.
Thank you, Dean. So you say, let me just take a moment to tell you about, or to explain why using World Travel Agency can help you travel and to give you, and what benefits that you receive from using us. Number one, it doesn't cost you anything. Our vendors pay our commissions, and the vendors that we work with pay our commissions. Number two, we're specialists in the products that we represent to you. Half the times are more than likely we have sailed, and we do extensive training on those particular products as well. And it also helps you avoid the pitfalls while planning a memorable vacation. Number three, we're there with you before, during, and after your trip ends, should it become necessary for us to help you to sort out anything along the way, especially at the end if you've encountered any problems or whatnot. And lastly, we often offer extra benefits that you can't get online or anywhere else, such as virtuoso amenities, shipboard credits, and even upgrades. Back to you, Dean.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, we hope to hear from you in the future. We will have our contact information up on a slide here at the end of the presentation. Now, I am very pleased to be able to introduce Reiner Marks. He is Director of Business Development for Viking. He has sailed and worked with different cruise lines, both river and ocean, for over 18 years. He joined the Viking team in 2012 as Director of Business Development. Some of the people know him best as a chef, as an executive chef, and you may have questions about his time with food, so he can certainly explain well what the offerings are on Viking. He lives in Scottsdale, although I happen to know he spends very little time at home. He's on the road quite a bit. And so with that, we'll welcome Reiner Marks and look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much, Cheryl. What a wonderful opportunity. I really appreciate you having me on today. And I'm very excited to talk about Viking to you today. So with that being said, you can tell I have a bit of an accent. So this is not a Scottsdale accent. This is something that I picked up in Germany. I'm a German national, but I hope that that everything will be clear. I give it my very best and suppress that thick German accent. So we're not running into any issues. So with that said, let me share you a little bit of my experience on the rivers and oceans with Viking Cruises, which I have sailed, like Dean said, for many, many years. So many of the core product I have sailed many times, 50, 60 times on the Rhine, Danube. Hadn't have much time to look out the window because I was in the galley and putting meals together, but I know the ports very, very well. And the allure, since when we started about 26 years ago, the drive that people have to experience the river has never changed. It is knowing that we're taking you in the heart of the destination, we're taking you into those small towns, into those large cities, and you're always already in the heart of the destination, meaning you're not spending much time getting there, you're already there. So from large metropolitan cities, small wine villages, beautiful landscapes, like we're looking here at the beautiful Wachau Valley, where most of the Austrian wines are grown, or the beautiful Cologne Cathedral here in Cologne. And these are just some of the ports we are visiting. And, I always use the Cologne Cathedral, this image of Cologne, as a prime example to show you what it means to be on a river cruise. When many of the ocean cruises, the ships are getting larger and larger, and they don't get into the city centers anymore, meaning they're docked far out. You're spending time on the motor coaches to get into the city. This is very different on rivers, where you docked literally 5 minutes walking distance from these cathedrals, from these market squares away. You dock right where things happen. Your tour departs as a walking tour right next to the ship in small groups, 20, 25 passengers, to a tour guide, and off you go and explore the beautiful towns of Europe, of the world. Of course, we're having a big interest in the castles of the world, and many of you might be familiar with those beautiful Viking commercials, and those ships are coming down the river. So you might be familiar with some of these castles, and there's not just 1 or 10 or 50. Germany alone has over 1,600 castles. Now, we're visiting not all of them, but the most beautiful we do. Here is Marksburg Castle near Koblenz. So this is a typical scene on the rivers. We're visiting the beautiful towns in France, Austria, Hungary, Germany, right? We sample the foods, we're listening to the music, we're meeting the people in the destination. This is up close and personal, right? Like here in Strasbourg, this beautiful scenery that you're seeing is in Le Petit France, where we go on a culinary walking tour in town. You're meeting a French sommelier. They tell you about the beautiful wines grown here in the Alsace. You're meeting a local chef. You're meeting folks that make the most delicious chocolates, pastries, pralines, Gugelhupf cakes, croissants, baguettes, and all of these things you're sampling. So my advice to you is, don't start a diet before going on a Viking cruise. I almost guarantee we're going to ruin it. But I say that, of course, with the wink in my eye. The culinary part is very much part of your exploration, because we explore with all of our senses, right? Smell, taste, with our ears, and that very much is true for travel as well. Now, here is the Rhine getaway that I was talking about, 8 days. It is the most popular tour that we have. 8 days between Amsterdam and Basel. And here also a beautiful map that shows you what you can do. You can easily make our river cruise a 10 or 12-day cruise or tour by using extension ports in London, The Hague, Basel, Lucerne, Lake Como, and all of these wonderful ports that you can stand 2 days before, 3 days after, and so on and so forth. But Mike, Cheryl, and Dean are a great source of information how to do that and what makes the most sense. Secondly, the romantic Danube, a beautiful tour between my hometown of Regensburg and Budapest, which allows you to spend some time in Prague. And the reason why I'm showing you these is because, again, these are the most popular tours. If you've never done a river cruise, this might be a great starting point, right? So 8 days on the Danube. Now, there is, of course, that big question, what should I do first? Rhine, Danube. Well, if you can't make up your mind, why not do 15 days and you do it both, right? The most popular cruise that Viking has, 15 days between Amsterdam and Budapest. It is an absolute gem. This is the highest ratings that we get from our guests, from our travelers, is here between Budapest and Amsterdam, with the extension opportunity in Prague. So that being said, let's take a look at these beautiful ships that take you across Europe, across the world, the river world. Beautiful long ships. They're all absolutely identical, and that makes sense in a second when we get to learning about, we want you to feel that you're coming home on your second, third cruise. That's why we built these ships. We did it once right, and then we built these ships after the same blueprint. You have these open, airy spaces, Scandinavian design, which brings a lot of daylight into the ship, ceiling to floor windows, The glass ceilings in the ship bring in a lot of daylight, so it does not feel like a dark dungeon that you're walking in. Open area that is the essence of Scandinavian design, right? Beautiful dining venues on board, your main dining room. The dining room here features tables of 6, 8, even 10 guests to a table, and it kind of never fails to see down, you know, a couple of days into the cruise that people graduate or gravitate to together, want to sit at a larger table, and you know, not necessarily by themselves at the window, but want to sit with their newly made friends on tables of 8 or 10. We see that all the time. Of course, the Explorers Lounge, a very, very beautiful venue. Also kind of the center of the ship. This is your meeting venue, your tea time venue. It's a beautiful vista lounge too. And this is where your bar is located at, where music and entertainment takes place. When we talk about entertainment on the rivers, it's mostly local entertainment, but we also have a musician that plays here during cocktail hour and after the local entertainment has ended. Beautiful aquavit lounge, areas to unwind, relax, maybe use the free Wi-Fi in here to stay in touch with home. Everybody travels with a laptop, Wi-Fi, you know, some sort of a device, you know, a phone and what have you. And use the free Wi-Fi. Free on Viking doesn't mean only 10 hours per cruise. No, it's free for the duration of your cruise, and it absolutely works well. We're using those new Starlink satellites, and they work really wonderfully. Speed is absolutely fantastic. So here in the front of the ship, we have a beautiful terrace. Outside dining al fresco is a very, very important to us at Viking. We feel that our guests love these outside dining venues, and really embodies the very essence of river cruising, sitting out here with a glass of wine and sailing into the sunset, or, you know, with a cup of coffee into the sunrise. Why not? We have a lot of early birds who find themselves here, do early bird breakfast on the Aquavit Terrace and enjoy their time here when everybody else might still be dreaming of their daily excursion. Now, let me take you through the cabins. These are, they provide lots of choices for you. So French balcony staterooms that have the ceiling to floor windows that slide open, right? Beautiful cabins on deck 2 and 3. Veranda staterooms that feature, again, a, you know, veranda where you step outside, you have your chairs, your table out there. If you would like to spend some more time in privacy of your cabin, this might be your choice. Or the larger cabins, the AA suites, or here the Explorer suites. Now keep in mind, no matter how large the cabins are, they're always double occupancy. So there's no connecting doors, there's no triples. It's always 2 guests for a cabin. And here in this beautiful Explorer suite, you see the living room. Any suite on Viking is always has always 2 rooms. It has your living room and the bedroom, where you know, have 2 full rooms. That's what we consider a suite. Of course, the bathrooms are beautifully laid out, absolutely gorgeous, contemporary as well. Which brings me to my next stop on rivers, which is our latest edition on rivers, which is the beautiful Viking Mississippi. And you never guess where that ship is sailing. Yes, it's the Mississippi. So it sails between New Orleans all the way up to St. Paul. You can sail between 8 days and 22 days. We have launched 4 new itineraries here, and the ship is absolutely gorgeous. A little bigger than the ones that we feature in Europe. They all hold 190 passengers. Now here on the Viking Mississippi, we feature space for 380. So the river is much larger, has 2 more full decks. It is wider, so plenty of room for everybody to spread out and enjoy themselves on their Mississippi River cruise. Now here, a typical penthouse veranda cabin. You see the space differences here from rivers in Europe to river in Mississippi. Quite a difference. Penthouse junior suites. You see living room, bedroom, suites on Viking, always 2 rooms, 2 kind of secluded areas in itself. The Terra Suites, a new cabin category that we feature with 2 TVs. And then, of course, all the way up to the lush and spacious Explorer Suites, they're absolutely gorgeous. almost up to 1,050 square feet. This is almost apartment size in here now. Now let's take a look in direct comparison. What would, how much bigger are these ocean ships compared to the river ships? Now, both products, both ships are considered small ships, right? Our river ship in Europe is 190 passengers. Our ocean ship right behind is 930 passengers. And the reason behind us building only small ships is that we want to make sure, we want to keep it in that way that we're bringing you into the heart of town. We never want you to spend extended amount of time on motor coaches. We want you to be able to dock in the heart of town. Cities like Venice, Stockholm, London, they allow only ships in port that are less than 1,100 passengers, which Viking qualifies, which makes for an absolutely amazing experience. You have more time in the destination, spending less time getting there. And when I talk to guests or folks that are interested in learning about Viking, I always get the question, what is different? We are experienced ocean cruisers. We have been on rivers of the world or not. But what is the difference between Viking and others? Why are you so successful? And here I must tell you, we have learned over the last 26 years what our guests want and need and the things they don't want. So let me show you the list of things that we don't do based on what we were told. Our guests don't like casinos, right? I might lose a couple of you now here, but keep in mind, there's casinos all over the world. And in many of the cities like Monte Carlo, we're docking in close proximity. So you still can have a casino experience now. There's no kids allowed under 18 on Viking ships. And I'm just going down some of these points. Nobody will put a funny Viking helmet on you and tries to take pictures. We're not doing any photography sales. Also, a thing that we don't do is charges for alternative dining. So every dining experience on Viking is included. Your steaks, your crab leg tower, your lobster, these things you don't pay extra for that. Many competitors charge you to get into the spa, even to experience basic spa services. We don't do that, right? Now, if you like to have a treatment like a massage and so on, yes, you pay the massage therapist, but your visit in the spa is included. You do not pay extra for that. No sales pressure. Nobody will approach you for any sale. No waiting in lines. The Viking experience on board is very casual. So the way you would play a round of golf, the way you go into your country club, you're perfectly dressed for any day on Viking. And again, the red line that goes along the entire Viking experience is that we do not nickel and dime our guests. It is a very inclusive experience. Now here, let me take you through the ship just by a couple of images that I want to show you. The atrium, contemporary, modern, and even here on these decks, full ceiling the floor windows, because when we sail these coastlines, we want you to experience the destination and see from anywhere on the ship. Remember what I said about no kids on board, right? So you can unwind, relax. There's nobody doing cannonballs into the pool or bothering anyone or jumping. There is no animators on these ships. Nobody is putting a pool party together. So that is just not the product for that. Now, as wild and we might get here on the pool deck might be in the evenings during cocktail hour, maybe Frank Sinatra tunes, Sammy Davis, the Rat Pack. That's probably the music that you hear most. The folks on board, on average, based on our data, is about 55 to 65 years old. That's the age group that we see on board. And then with the wink in our eye, we always say folks 55 and older and their parents. Those are the Viking clientele. You see very, very few honeymooners now, but they are there as well. So you have some 30-something-year-olds. The idea is that no matter how old you are, if you come for the same interests, your interest in culture, in art, to learn about history, age is just a number, right? We're coming for the same interests. So I mentioned that many of the restaurants are, actually all of the restaurants are included here. You see the restaurant concepts on board. Fantastic food in the main restaurant. Manfredi's an Italian outlet. All of these have one thing in common. Again, you do not pay in any of these restaurants. The spa on board is a Nordic spa, which bases on alternating between hot and cold. So you heat up your body and then cool it down fast. It has a positive effect on your cardiovascular system, right? Good for the blood vessels. Now, we're taking the cooling down part of this spa very, very serious, because we do have a snow grotto on board where there's always 2 feet of snow. This is not mandatory, right? This is completely voluntary, but it is a really unique spa experience, true Viking style. You heat your body, you rub yourself down with snow. This is a fantastic experience, very unique, right? Now, the veranda staterooms, the reason why we say veranda staterooms, because that's the only class of cabins that we have. Our cabins on board start on the veranda stateroom level. There's no inside cabins, there is no ocean view cabins. Every single cabin on board is at least a veranda cabin. So when you look at this beautiful bathroom here, top right corner, you don't notice any curtains in there, no shower curtains, because we have beautiful glass cabins. Those bathroom floors are heated. Those mirrors on the right-hand side are heated from behind, so they do not fog up if you take a hot shower. Really state-of-the-art. A lot of attention to detail that went into these gorgeous cabins. Large suites, again, penthouse junior, you see it here, 2 rooms, living room, bedroom, absolutely fantastic setup and layout, right? Now, I could have spoken to this slide, but anyway, you know, you see the bathrooms are beautifully designed, beautiful sinks, plenty of room to put your belongings away. And this contraption there, where you see the towels hanging, is actually a heating rack where your towels are heating up. So very lovely cabin. Here, the Explorer suites, again, larger cabins, they go up into the 1,500 square feet, absolutely spectacular layout and design. These are not large enough to entertain friends even here, right? Beautiful 2-room cabins with your bedroom, your living room, a gorgeous veranda in the privacy. You see the veranda here, absolutely spectacular. We do have quite a number of those on our ocean ships available. And these cabins are also the only ones that feature a bathtub and a shower. All other cabins feature a shower. The Explorer suites do feature a tub and a shower. Now, let me talk about our latest add-on, our latest addition to the Viking fleet, which are the beautiful expedition vessels. And we started these in 2022. There's 2 of them that we currently have. That's the beautiful Viking Polaris and the Octantis, and they are spectacular. You know, one has not enough words to describe these gorgeous vessels. Now, I want you to envision these ships and imagine these ships as a beautiful platform to see the destination, right? Anywhere on these ships, you have a view into the destination, even in the spa, right? So, because the reason for that is certainly we cannot guarantee what kind of wildlife is showing up, or we can tell when they're showing up. But if they show up, you will see them from anywhere on the ship, right? So here, your spa, you see this lady doing some sightseeing while she's in the spa. This is really the essence of cruising. I mean, we don't like to call these ships cruise ships, but they are luxurious expedition vessels, right? And the reason why, I'm going to get to that as well. So Expedition Central, this is kind of like the center of the ship, where you will meet your expedition team. And you can ask questions, you can plan your excursions, you can follow up on questions that you might have from yesterday's excursion. These folks are permanently accessible to you. They do workshops in here. They teach you about photography while we have maybe a day at sea. They do relevant workshops that really enhance your experience and that are useful to you. So here at Expedition Central, you learn about the wildlife even before we get into Antarctica or into other areas that these ships are sailing. Just to give you a couple of ideas what the ship looks like, here in the very bow of the ship, gorgeous areas where you can also kind of envision where things are pretty much along the lines of the same design. River, ocean, expedition, it all follows the same rules of bright, airy Scandinavian design. You know, these the columns here on the right, they remind you of a forest in Scandinavia, right? This is really a red line that goes along with the theme of how these ships are being built. Now, this is a typical scene. Yes, it is warm enough in the Antarctic summer to sit out there. Of course, you're going to wear a sweater, but to sit out here for a quick breakfast, you know, days in Antarctica in the summer are around 34, 36 degrees. It gets that warm, right? And it's absolutely possible to have a bite out here, to see the gorgeous landscapes floating by, amazing icebergs, and of course the wildlife. And when we talk about these areas, of course, we're going to have crafts on board to experience that. Zodiacs is a standard on all, I would say, in the industry of expeditions, but kayaks, RIBs that take you a little further from the ship. But also let me mention these beautiful submarines here. So our owner of Viking, Mr. Hagen, is a fan, a lifelong fan of the Beatles. So there was no doubt and no question what color these submarines would be, right? They even have the names of the Beatles. Like, we have 4 submarines and they have the names of John, Paul, Ringo, and George on the submarines painted, right? So this is his, right? But I think a unique invention that we did is the way we board these crafts, because we board them inside the ship, and that is unique, that is new, that's never been done before. Normally you hold somebody's hand when you do that step from the ship onto a moving, floating boat. That is very, very different here on Viking, where the craft, the boat, is docked inside the ship, and the guests, as you see here, approach that ship, buckle down, and then it is launched backwards into the sea. It doesn't get safer than that, right? Because nobody wants to come home with a broken leg. But this is the same way we bring guests back in, you know, that will be pulled into the ship, and then guests disembark on the other side. So here, our beautiful RIVs that take you a little further from the ship, let's say for that penguin colony, that seal colony, that amazing landfall that you will do in Antarctica. You will set foot on land and do a hike, do a climb in Antarctica. Now, as I mentioned, it is not a cruise ship. It is an expedition ship. The reason why I say this, because we have scientists on board. They do active field research. They have microscopic technology on board. They have freezer technology. They have, you know, sample processing technology on board. They are accessible to our guests and give lectures. They do desk hours. Viking is the only ship that carries passenger that is certified to do weather balloon launches. And we always make it a big, it's really remarkable to see how that is being done. These weather balloons are biodegradable, and we learn a lot about research. You know, without these weather balloons, a exact prognosis on weather would not be possible. Still to date, we are very much dependent on these weather balloons, and we are the only ship certified to do that carries passengers. So really unique experience, and you'll be part of it. When we look at the cabins, of course, it wouldn't make sense to have an outside veranda here. So we built the veranda inside the ship. So you have your beautiful bed here with, you know, this divider that you see behind the bed, and behind that divider there is a leather sectional facing this window, which provides you the views that you came to see. That window can also be lowered on half size, you know, down to elbow level, where you can do photography and use your binoculars that come with the cabin, right? Of course, different size cabins, from the Nordic suites all the way up to the Explorer, everything in between. And if you ever wanted to do a steam bath outside in Antarctica on your own patio, why not talk to Cheryl about the owner suite? We'll make it happen for you, right, Cheryl? So moving on, in every cabin we have a beautiful drying closet. So this doesn't only look great and provide storage for you, but it also is ventilated and heated, meaning you come back from a shore excursion, you might have caught a little bit of the ocean spray and your clothes might be a little damp. You hang them in there, they're ventilated and heated, and they dry your clothes in no time. Of course, you got to eat well. We have beautiful dining rooms on board, same as you are used from Viking Oceans, from Viking Rivers, with remarkable food. And along the lines of what we did on Oceans, right? Small dining rooms, many of them, many different layouts, many of them different flavors. It's all about choices. So this is our Italian, the World Cafe, for a quick bite in between excursions, you know, folks enjoy lunch here, fresh sushi or nice gelato up here in the World Cafe. Mamsens, our Norwegian deli, very, very popular up here to grab some Norwegian fare. This is our heritage. This is what we do. And then, of course, let me show you what you're in Antarctica. But there's a but. You're not only sailing Antarctica. There's so many amazing areas that these ships sail because they sail in the off season. So you have the Antarctic summer, which is the high winter here in North America. The seasons are, flip-flop, if you will, offset. When it gets cold in Antarctica, we bring these ships to North America. And what do we do with them? We put them on the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes, one of those amazing areas, this amazing wildlife preserves in North America that is little traveled to date. The Viking ships, these beautiful ships, are the most amazing thing that the Great Lakes have seen. And if you want to look at 13 days, 15-day kind of cruises, why not look at something new that we recently came up, a longitudinal cruise from the Great Lakes all the way down into Antarctica. 70 days, 61 days. We have 5 different sailings of these. Again, talk to Michael Dean and Cheryl, of course, what we can do for you, what works the best. And, you on these, it's not only the landfall, you have access to Galapagos, you have access to Machu Picchu on those. This is a once in a lifetime experience. So enough of that. I just want to tell you before I come to the end, I want to tell you about the current promotions. Currently, we're offering up to free international airfare. Certain cruises actually have free airfare on there. Talk to our wonderful friends and have them look at what is available for you. In any case, the air is always discounted, significantly discounted. So I've seen over the years $5.99, $6.99 round trip to Europe, round trip into Amsterdam. This would cost you easily $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. That's normally what these round trip airs go for these days. Everything has gotten so expensive. This offer expires at the end of the month. And then, of course, as a big thank you for joining us here today, we were able to get you $100 per person shipboard credit for anyone who decides to book by March 14th. We're going to add this on. This is a shipboard credit, so you can, use that for your new Viking sweater, your new Viking outfit on board, or, on rivers, maybe, who knows? You know what to do with $200 on board. So this is all I have for you today, and I hope we got lots of questions that we happily answer for you.
Reiner, thank you for that great presentation. I think we rushed you through some of these slides. There are a couple things that jumped out at me. I have been outside of that snow room, but could never bring myself to go in. And I wish we had time to describe each one of the restaurants on the different ships. I have my favorites, but we do have some time for questions. We're going to start with the questions that we already have teed up, and there are several that we have had presented to us, but please feel free if you have questions to put them in the Q&A. We'll get to them as we can. And Reiner, first question that I see that I like is, do you have a favorite personal river and ocean cruise?
I do, for sure. I would have to think long, but because I'm asked this question quite a bit, my favorite river cruise that I have done was the round trip Bordeaux to Bordeaux. Chateaus, Rivers, and Wine. You mentioned I was a chef in a past life. This is a culinary celebration. You're in the heart of the Périgord. You're sailing past the Margaux. You're tasting Mouton Rothschild. You're tasting wines that you never get your hands on normally. You go into a small, if you will, workshop where you learn how wine barrels are being put together, and you taste oysters right from the. I mean, this was the greatest river trip I've ever done, and I had to do it twice to do all the shore excursions that I cared for, which was all of them. Right, we picked up truffles from the ground. What an amazing experience! As for oceans, Dean, I will say, and it all comes down to your personal interests. We all travel for different reasons. We have different backgrounds. So my heritage is Northern European. I'm very fond of the Viking culture, right? I like to learn about the ancient Vikings, the 800s, 900s, thousands. It was a very short time period in world history, but so interesting to me, what these 200 years, how they managed to change world history. So the Viking homelands that I did back in those days, we were still going to St. Petersburg, to Helsinki. We dearly miss it and hope at some point, the world changes in a way that we can go there again. But we still do the homelands. Anything west of Stockholm, so interesting to do that 2-day train ride from Oslo to Bergen to see these almost untouched countrysides, to see these rugged coastlines, the fjords. It was just so incredible, So these two I would name. There's many, many more, right? But it's almost too hard to pick, but they stand out to me as the most memorable.
Great. Thank you, Reiner. And we do have a number of questions that, Cheryl, I think you've been keeping track of here, and we're consolidating some that sound similar.
Yes.
But Cheryl, off to you.
Okay, then. All right, then, Reiner, we have a question from one of our attendees. If I use a wheelchair, can I go on the river or ocean?
Okay. If you can move around without the wheelchair, and I'm talking about getting on the motor coach, getting onto the gangway, and you can do it off the wheelchair, yes, right? Keep in mind, traveling in Europe, you come across a lot of cobblestone. You come across a lot of, let's just put it like this. I'm European. Here in America, we have wonderful and amazing laws, the ADA laws, where you have to have things lowered, where you have to have accommodations for Americans with disabilities. That is not always the case in Europe. That starts in the airports, in the train stations, on the trains. It starts in the restaurants, If someone is really dependent on a wheelchair, I would almost say to stay on the Mississippi, to use the ships near the American coastlines, which there we have fully ADA compliant cabins. That is no problem at all. But to send you into those cobblestone layered villages in Europe would just be not right. It would be very hard to move around, to be quite honest. Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Reiner.
the motor coaches also don't have the lifts to bring wheelchairs in. So I wouldn't feel comfortable recommending it. Right.
Thank you, Reiner.
My pleasure.
Let's see, the next question. How far before sailing do you book your excursions? And when can you start? How far before sailing can you book your excursions? And when can you start booking them?
Absolutely. Good question. Now, Viking has kind of staggered the time leading up. So the higher cabin category, and I'm talking about oceans here, right? So if you buy, let's say, a deluxe veranda cabin, you have 67 days prior to sailing when you can book your dining, your shore excursions, and so on and so forth. That time period gets longer the higher cabin category that you have booked. So a penthouse or a AA suite will give you more time ahead of sailing date to book these.
Okay. Thank you, Reiner. Here's one. Can I upgrade my airfare?
Yes, you can. So with the Viking Air, absolutely. What I would recommend is, and Cheryl, you'll probably back me up, to get the custom air, which allows you to use points, to choose your sail, to choose the side on the craft where you want to sit on. It allows you to pick the carrier, but also upgrades. Absolutely, you can do that.
Okay, and another question that I have, if I purchase my air through Viking, can I get a good deal? And how is it handled if I want to arrive in one city or go out of a different city?
That would be a deviation. Deviations are very easy. Again, you need the custom air to do that, which is, I believe, $100 to $200 to get the custom air. But then any port in Europe, which there are many, right? We sail to over 500 ports worldwide. So anywhere we have contracts with Viking, let's say London, Paris, Budapest, Prague, you name it. If there's one of these hubs nearby, you want to fly in one and out of the other, you pay the deviation fee, you pay your custom air fee. It is possible, absolutely, no problem. I see it done all the time.
Thank you for that, Reiner. That's
Pleasure.
all the questions that I have. Back to you, Dean.
Great. Cheryl, thank you. And Reiner, thank you again. We appreciate your time. Hopefully you can see the information, contact information for Mike, Cheryl, and myself. And any of us would be happy to help you with any of your future needs. Reiner is always very responsive to us. You can tell from the questions and answers he's received that he's done this for a while. And we always enjoy working with Reiner on future bookings. So for now, again, thank you to all who've joined us this evening. Again, thank you, Reiner. Thanks, Mike and Cheryl. And we will look forward to hearing from you in the future.